Okay, I had a few of the people, everybody hear that? Yeah, some of the people that were thumbs down are now thumbs up. So, okay. We're going to go with that one and try that speaker. So here we go. We're going to have the first introduction that Gary recorded for us.
Chicago gun violence are kids.
Hi, this is Gary Senkar. I will be talking to you about one of my favorite subjects, the Imperial Art Glass line. Most call the line Imperial Jewels. In this presentation, I will be discussing some information as a review, some information that has rarely been discussed, and some that has probably never been discussed. Why are the bases brown in Imperial Jewels pieces? What was Imperial's original name for this finish that has been called marigold and milk glass? What was the mold number for this popular cream and sugar set? This ashtray has been a very popular and desirable item, always found in pearl amethyst.
Can you go in the other room?
Any other color?
No.
Are these bowls really Imperial Jewels? What is the finish called? First, however, I would like to do a quick review of the timeline of Imperial's stretch glass production. In late 1912, 3 satin iridescent finishes were first introduced on New Art lampshades. Today, these finishes are what we call stretch. The factory names were Pearl White, Pearl Ruby, and Pearl Green. There were 19 different shade styles available in these 3 finishes, and many were also available with a choice of as many as 8 different hand cuttings. It was late in 1913 that an advertisement noted that New Art vases were going to be coming to the marketplace soon. But other than this ad and a few mentions in trade journals, little is factually known about the New Art vases. The New Art vase finish texture varies quite a bit, and many times it does have a stretch look.
Someone needs to be
It's easy to
muted.
see.
Someone has a news program in the background.
Jewels line.
That's it.
In the trade journals in late 1916, the art glass line and its 5 pearl finishes were mentioned as being in the Chicago showroom. And in December 1916, full-page ads appeared in the same trade journals. In early 1918, the catalog, number 103G, came out featuring 6 full color pages of Imperial Jewels pieces. 2 of the pages are shown here. The catalog pictured 68 different items, all available in each of the 5 finishes. There were vases, bowls, plates, hair receivers, and bonbons. Many items had more descriptive and elaborate names, such as flower bowl, lily bowl, jardiniere, and both a nasturtium and a violet vase were named. Vases varied from 5 inches to 10 inches in height, plates from 7 inches to 12 inches round, bowls from 4.5 inches to 11 inches in diameter. There were a total of 68 items, but the item numbers ranged from 1 to 88. 20 unused numbers, or maybe just uncatalogued items. Remember, there was over a year between the introduction of the line and this catalog. Some items most likely were not well received by buyers and weren't cataloged. About 1921, a catalog called the Bargain Book came out showing 14 Imperial Jewels pieces, 12 of which are the same as shown in the 1918 catalog. 2 new vases were shown, a number 92 and a number 93. The 93 is a familiar shape that we previously had no style number for. The number 92 looks very much like the number 10 vase from the previous catalog. So why then the new number? The line of ice finishes were first introduced around the same time, 1921. All look quite different from the pearl finishes, except for the iris ice. These 8 finishes plus pink, marigold and pink, and a very scarce topaz are the known ice finishes. There is evidence that production of at least some Imperial Jewels items continued through at least 1924, as some items were matched with freehand candlesticks and vases in sets. There are 7 known finishes of Imperial Jewels, 5 of which were cataloged. 2 facts should be noted here. It was stated in catalogs that there are all kinds of variations in the colors of the pearl finishes due to the terrific heat necessary, making absolute control impossible. The second statement was, the enormous heat needed to develop the colors cannot be adequately regulated, meaning scarcely no 2 pieces are alike. Number 2, the brilliant iridescence on many, if not most pieces of Imperial Jewels was due to the fact that they were double doped, unlike most other stretch glass. Pearl ruby with a crystal base glass is one of the more commonly found finishes. It's often called marigold by many collectors. Note that on the bottom of these slides is the original manufacturer's description of the finish. It is the only art glass finish for which I have not found a factory description. Pearl amethyst is a multicolored or rainbow iridescence on a purple base glass. Pearl silver also has a purple base glass with a brilliant silver iridescence and with traces of the same rainbow colors as seen on pearl amethyst. You will often see steely blue or even gold overtones. Pearl silver and pearl amethyst are often confused with each other. Although pearl green is described as having a crystal base glass, it sometimes appears to have a ginger ale tint. Pearl green exhibits the widest variance in coloration, from light green to olive, sometimes with gold overtones. Other times, the rose or yellow will be more prominent and can be often confused with a light pearl ruby. But with pearl green, you will always see some green tones, although often appearing very subtly. Pearl white is the most difficult of the 5 catalog finishes to find. The finish is white on crystal base glass, usually with a subtle rainbow iridescence resembling mother of pearl. To recap, there are 69 numbered items, all supposedly produced in 5 finishes. Some shapes are certainly less common to be found in certain finishes, but I have little reason to believe that they were not made.
Now, what Gary's going to do is show us some actual pieces of the glass that he just talked in his presentation. And then he's also going to invite several people to show us more examples of some of those imperial jewels, the primary colors that he showed us. To see this best, remember to go up into the upper right-hand corner and do the speaker view on that in order for you to see what people are showing full screen. Gary?
All right, thank you. This is Gary Senkar. So I just want to show some of the pieces, the colors that get confused with each other, as I said in the video. And I will also, first let me say, the reason for the video is I have undependable Wi-Fi here. So I thought that was going to work in case I lost my Wi-Fi. So anyway, here we have a small ruffle bowl, which is in pearl amethyst. And I'm hoping that you can see the rainbow iridescent effect that's often talked about. You'll see reds in here and blues and some greens. Here's a larger vase, which also demonstrates a great pearl amethyst finish with a rainbow effect to it. So then if you compare that to pearl silver will often still have the multicolored rainbow iridescence, but has the definite silver overlay to it. And for some reason, which I'm not quite sure why, sometimes it even can have gold in the overlay. But I would still consider it pearl silver. Not a real strong gold, not as strong as what the silver is here.
Gary, I usually say that the pearl silver always has, to me, a definite metallic overtone. It really looks like you said, silver or gold.
Right.
Look.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, even as I mentioned in the video, sometimes it will even have a bluish, metallic bluish overtone, if you will, to it. That's not as common. And I don't have a piece of that available right here because I figured that would be too hard to pick up on the camera. But here's another piece that's in pearl silver. So then I want to show you some pearl green. Pearl green of the 5 finishes certainly varies the most. And remember that even Imperial said in their catalogs that the finishes vary a lot because of the intense heat needed, and they can't control it completely. So you expect a big variance in finish. Now, here is a number 2 vase in pearl green. And this is, we say pearl green, it's definitely an olive tone, a strong olive tone. And I believe that is the color that they were trying to attain, was this olive color. Now you'll get even darker olive tones in that vase. This is a small, I think they call this a bonbon. And very dark olive. This is, I've seen a few pieces even darker than this. What confuses people is the very light pearl green. Now, almost everybody's going to call this pearl ruby or marigold if you're influenced by the carnival names. But the way I separate it, and here you see a piece of dark marigold next to it. And this is very hard to distinguish a lot of the pearl green from the pearl ruby. But when I look at a piece like this, and again, I don't know that we can pick it up on the camera, but I always see a little bit of the olive green in the finish. It's not going to jump out at you, but when you look at it hard, you can see those green undertones that are there, and that will distinguish, for me, the difference between a pearl ruby and a pearl green. Now, I don't suppose in the end, it's all that important. If you like the color, you like the color. If the iridescence is good, you're probably going to buy it anyway, even if it is pearl green. Here's one more piece of a dark marigold color, and compare that to the pearl, the real pearl green, or this again.
That's,
It's
always
in the pearl ruby, you're not going to see those green undertones.
Yeah,
Dave.
like Gary said, anytime you get a green reflection off of that, it's very likely going to be the pearl green. But if you get purples, pinks, reds, and blues with no green off of it, it's definitely going to be pearl ruby at that one. But I guess my other suggestion is if you're having trouble, bring it to convention next year. And Gary and I'll vote on what we think it really is. Gary, did you have some other people that you had requested to show some pieces, or did we have some other people?
No, not specifically here at this spot. At the next stop we do.
Okay.
And there are some people that want to maybe show a piece that they're not sure if it's one color or another, or something that pertains to these four finishes at this point in time.
Gary, I have a piece that I'd like to show you.
Okay, Lance.
Okay, I think I have to unpin myself, right, Dave?
Yes, you'll have to unpin yourself and pin on Lance. Lance, if you talk a little bit, you'll also show up.
Yeah, my face will show up. I'd rather the plate show up. Okay, it has a ginger ale color on the base glass.
I think that would be the most definite way. I'm definitely in my screen getting green reflecting off of that. So I would definitely say that's a pearl green piece.
I didn't see it, Lance. I'm sorry. I was still trying to unpin myself.
Trying to unpin yourself? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, from that it looks like it's probably pearl green. Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Let me see the base color. Yeah, I would say that I can definitely see olive in that.
Yeah.
You see the olive there in person, Lance? Yeah, I definitely see.
Especially on the back.
Yeah, and I think that, like you said, the ginger ale base glass is another very common feature of pearl green.
Right.
But sometimes the iridescence is so heavy, it's a little hard to see that sort of ginger ale color in the glass.
Yeah. Well, this has heavy iridescence, so. Thank you.
Yeah.
If I have a piece also.
Okay,
It's
Harold, yeah, hold on, let me
teal. I don't know if you can see it or not.
sure.
Okay, that looks like it might be a piece of freehand. It's not Imperial Jewels.
Okay.
Oh, can you hold
You
a little bit
need to hold
closer to your head?
that closer to your head so that we can see further. There you go. Yeah, now we can see the vase. Yeah, that's definitely.
I lost the video.
Yeah. Okay, that's definitely a piece of art glass because you can see the ground pottle on the bottom of it, and so I'm not even sure it would be the freehand, but
Yeah,
it is.
I need to see it again.
Okay, yeah, tilt it up so that we can see the handles.
Did you pin him? I can't see his, I can't see the piece.
Okay. Yeah, as Gary said, he has a fairly slow speed there, and it may be difficult for him to see it.
Yeah, the handles are also teal too.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see the base. Let me see the bottom of the piece again.
And speak while you're showing it.
Yeah, it is a polished panel on
Yeah.
there as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's freehand. That's when I first saw the side view and the handles, I thought maybe it was. The panel doesn't look exactly right to me. Teal would be a very unusual color for freehand. I don't, which anything's possible in freehand, really. You see many new pieces. So,
I've asked a question. I got this through Gary Lickford.
I'm sorry?
I got it through Gary Lickford.
If I had to, make up my mind right now, I'd say it's not freehand. Definitely a piece of art glass, and I can't tell you who it is, but it just doesn't look.
How about possible
close enough.
passenger?
Well, I know freehand reasonably well, but unfortunately, I don't know everybody else. I can't tell you, I can't pin it down as to who else it might be. I don't want to throw out other names.
And we're
Okay. I appreciate that piece. I guess I've got.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous piece. I mean,
Yeah, it's
but
lovely.
yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
I actually just picked this one up the other day.
Yeah. Okay, and that's got the ground base on it.
Yep.
No, that's a snap base, and hold it up edgewise again.
What is it, snap base?
It's got a snap base on it. My feeling is that does the base come to where the snap is? Does that come to kind of a point, or is it a square roundish?
It's square round. It's
Square
got like
rounded.
a
Actually,
half inch round.
that's probably a very rare piece of Northwood.
It's nice to know. I'll tell you, there's no N in there. It's just beautiful purple.
Oh no, it won't have an end. But Northwood did make a really dark amethyst glass that's quite rare, and that base. I was trying to figure out whether it was a Vineland base or foot or the Northwood. The Northwood one would have that angular sides to the base, and the Vineland would have a sharp edge to it.
This is not sharp. It's
Yeah,
definitely not.
Dave, just as a point, I don't think I've ever seen a piece of Northwood stretch with the end. Have you?
Yeah, only the salts and a couple of the Tree of Life pieces have the circle
okay.
with the N in them.
Yeah, it's quite.
Dave, I can send you I can send
yeah.
a better picture of this over, via email,
Yeah.
so you can see it.
And Howard, is that, did I get the name right? Howard?
Carol.
Carol, okay, sorry. I thought I heard Dave say Howard. A little later in the video, I'll cover the point that Imperial Jewels was always made with a ground base. It has to do with the way it was made. You'll see that coming up,
Okay.
and there'll be some examples of ground base, and that'll help you identify Jewels pieces also.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
I think for sake of time, let's share more glass at the end. And right now, let's continue on with Gary's talk. He's got some really exciting new news on some new names of colors for you to learn.
great.
There'll be a test later. This brings us to the two uncatalogued finishes, smoke on milk glass and the finish that has been called marigold on milk glass for lack of the original factory names. Recently, Dave Shetler and I rediscovered articles that appeared in trade journals in January 1922. An article in the January 5th, 1922 issue of the Crockery and Glass Journal mentioned 3 new finishes were just introduced at the Imperial showroom in Chicago: Orange Onyx, Iris Ice, and Peacock. This article described Orange Onyx. The soft orange color gradually fades into the most delightful shades of onyx, and its beauty is still further enhanced by an iridescent coloring. 3 weeks later, a similar article appeared in the Pottery, Glass, and Brass Salesman. It said, Orange Onyx, an iridescent effect on a high-class lead blank. So we believe that Orange Onyx is most likely the original factory name for what we have been calling marigold on milk glass. Orange Onyx is harder to find than the 5 catalog finishes. Smoke on milk glass is the scarcest finish to find, seen on very few pieces. It may very well be the blue ice iridescence on milk glass.
Okay. Gary asked me to stop there and we'll show a few pieces of Orange Onyx and the smoke on milk. Again, click on the speaker view and Gary, you'll need to unmute yourself.
Okay. So just a word about the Orange Onyx. I think it's important to note, to give a little bit more credibility, that this was actually the name. Remember in that one article I said they announced 3 new finishes in the showroom. The other 2 were Iris Ice and Peacock. Now, Iris Ice, of course, is white stretch glass as we know it in the ice line. And Peacock was Imperial's name for what collectors call clam broth. So the fact that there are 2 finishes that we definitely know, and Peacock is listed in their catalogs, and so is Iris Ice as a factory name in various catalogs. Orange Onyx has not appeared in any catalogs I've ever seen as a name finish. So I think that the fact that they were all grouped together in the articles, mentioned together as new finishes, give it a lot of credibility that Orange Onyx was the real name. Now I've got just a couple pieces of Orange Onyx, and there are going to be a couple of people showing theirs. This is, now you find Orange Onyx in known Imperial Jewel shapes. What I mean is, of the 69 shapes that we know that were in the catalog, a number of them do show up in Orange Onyx. This is one, this is a number 57 nappy, as Imperial called it. And this, I feel, is one of the more common pieces to show up in Orange Onyx. Now, I say one of the more common, that doesn't mean there's a lot of them. I've only probably seen a half a dozen of them in my lifetime. Then there are also quite a few pieces that have never shown up in any other finish other than Orange Onyx. Now, this shape is apparently from one of the molds that they were using for a couple of their other known styles. But this particular shape of it has only been seen in Orange Onyx. And again, it's not totally unknown. Again, I've seen 6, 8 pieces identical to this, variants in the amount of orange on it, but still the shape being basically the same. Some people call it a large spittoon. And because I'm a poor man, This is the only piece of smoke on milk glass that I have. This is a cataloged Imperial Jewel shape. This is a number 10 vase, but unfortunately my piece has no stretch effect on it. This is a very high gloss finish on this, but so I don't know if this was one of their first experimental pieces or just trying to make it the smoke without stretching it. So now I think we have Dave and Cal and maybe someone else is going to show a few of their Orange Onyx and smoke on milk glass pieces.
Hey, Cal, are you ready to go?
Okay, yes. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm not popping up in the speaker screen, so I don't know why that's not happening, but that's okay. At least on our computer. So I will show you a vase or a vase, depending on how you want to say it, in smoke on milk glass. Look at the base, it's obviously milk glass.
Now, Cal, does that have the cross mark on the underside?
Nothing mixing has. It's all.
Very light cross mark.
Okay.
Very light.
Yeah,
It's-
Gary and I had that discussion earlier. Some of these onyx and the smoke on milk have the mark, and a few of them don't.
Yeah, this one has you can, I wouldn't want to have to use it to take a picture of the Imperial Cross, but yes, it's there. So the top of it is very cupped in. It's, if it was smaller, somebody would say it was a hair receiver, but it's obviously much too big for hair. And it's a very nice size vase with very nice, even color on it.
Yeah, Cal, that's actually a one of the known shapes, a catalog shape. That's a number 78 shape for what it's worth.
Excellent.
And a very, it's the only one I've ever seen in smoke. And as I've told you, there said very, very few pieces of smoke on milk glass in any shape. So the only one I've seen.
Well, the other one that you asked me to share is a little bigger. And I don't know, I might have to step back a little bit so you can actually see it. This is a bowl. You saw this in the video pictured. This is a bowl in a metal handle, the metal frame. I don't know if you can see the metal frame better from the back side or not, but it does have an ornate metal frame all around the edge of it, and then there are two handles. I think we know of at least three of these, and it's interesting that the three of them have different color combinations. So this has the smoke on milk glass here, and then it has, I guess, is this pearl green on the back?
It certainly looks like it to me.
Yeah.
It's definitely reflecting green overtones.
Yeah, it's very green. Now, Gary, I won't spend a lot of time on this, and you may want to talk more about this or you may not, but you see the scratches here. The finish is all scratched up. And if you see the other two of these bowls, they have the same scratches in the same place. So Dave and I talked about this, and we believe that these bowls originally probably had a metal base that they sat in. If anybody's got one that's in a metal base, I'll tell you, a bunch of us would certainly like to see what the metal base looked like. And I don't know, I suppose that was done by a decorator after the fact, so it wouldn't show up in any of the Imperial catalogs. But anyways, this is smoke on milk glass on this side, and apparently pearl green on milk glass on this side. And that's all I got.
Okay, thanks, Cal.
I think it's up to you, Dave.
Okay, I'm gonna present some of mine. Actually, here's the number 78 again. This is a standard Imperial Jewels piece or art glass piece, and this one has a very strong cross mark in the bottom of it. But as you can see, the orange iridescence is not all that even. It's a little weak on this side, a little thicker on that side, but it has a really good stretch effect. The other ones I'm going to show is here is another standard Imperial Jewel shape, but this one isn't marked on the bottom. It does have the ground bottom. And this one, I'll try to get it just right. You can really see this has some outstanding stretch marks, both on the outside and the inside of it. And then I've been collecting the cup bowls, and this is definitely an Imperial art glass bowl shape. It's the largest cupped in bowl that they made. And then here's another one of the smaller size cupped in. But about a month and a half ago, there was an auction where this showed up. Let me show you the three different sizes. There's the big one. And here's the medium one, and here's the little tiny one. This one is unusual. I don't know if you can see it just right, but this has a star impressed in the base of it. And while this is another one of the shapes of the Imperial Jewels, I don't know of any of the other jewels that have that impressed star in the base of it. But those are the three of the Orange Onyx cup bowls that I have. Let me get my smoke on milk here. I've got one. This matches the bowl that Cal had showed you with the metal rim, but this one is smoke on milk, both external and internal. Another thing that this shows you that I want to point out, both on the smoke on milk and the Orange Onyx or Marigold on milk, the iridescence of these comes off fairly easily. And so if you ever wash these, I would strongly recommend only use good soft soap and water. Do not scrub them, or you'll get some of that iridescence coming off of there. This one, when I got it, it looked like this, and somebody I think had tried to clean the interior of that one a little bit too much. And here is Renee and I's bowl that has the metal band. This one has really dark smoke on the inside and really dark orange on the outside. And so my feeling is the company that purchased these as blanks to put the metal bands on may have told Imperial, just give us some really unique, interesting items to put in here. And this one likewise has a little ring scratch right out here, which kind of indicates that maybe it was in a metal stand of some sort. Okay, those are the pieces I had. Gary, do you want to continue on?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention for the people watching, for their sake, the two-tone bowls are all, they're a standard Imperial Jewels shape, a number 56 bowl. That's the only piece that I've ever seen with the two-tone to it. And they all have that same, that any bowl you've seen with the two-tone will always have that metal rim on it. I don't have one. There's a lot of things I don't have, but early in my collecting, I do remember seeing Bill Kroll had one at the fairgrounds during the convention. And I took a look at it and I said, boy, this bowl is ugly. And I said, I'll wait till I find a pretty one. And of course, there are no pretty ones in that two-tone bowl that I've ever seen. So I'm still without. All right, that's all I've got to say. I don't know if anybody else has anything they'd like to add. We could continue with the video.
Gary,
Yes. Go ahead.
Carl Booker,
Yes.
I don't know if you can see this.
Yes.
Small bowl. And the back is ribbed like this.
Holy moly.
Huh. And it looks like it's got a ground base, no?
Yes, I think so.
Let me see the edge of that again. I'm going to say that that's the diamond Adams rib line. We do know of several diamond Adams rib that has milk glass with that rather shiny marigold iridescence on the inside. I'd like to see that in person. I really think that's a diamond piece. That's neat.
Can you pin that so we can get a better look at that?
Yeah, hold on, Gary. What I want you to do is go to the group, go down to the Eunice Booger and click on the three little dots and pin it, and that way you'll see him full screen then.
Go down to where?
Go to his. Can you go ahead and speak a little bit?
Carl, talk.
Okay, I'm talking now.
Okay.
Okay.
We've always called this a baby plate, but we didn't know anything else to call it.
Oh, that's it. Well, that's it. I can see it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I can see why I'd say that's Adams. Yeah. Really nice. Really nice. Well, why don't you send that to me, and then I'll let put it on my shelf, and I'll let Dave take a picture of it. We'll both be happy.
You're too eager.
How about if we just send you pictures?
I try to be eager.
Yeah, Cal
Thanks
did.
for showing that.
So Carl,
Yeah,
I've got the mug to go with your bowl.
there you go.
There's the mug. There's iridescence inside. And this is definitely Adam's rib, no doubt about it.
Ours are much
It's
finer.
iridized inside.
Would they
Yeah.
have this? Would they have the same number of ribs?
Oh, I don't know. I never counted the ribs.
Because there's a lot of small ribs on this.
Yeah, there's a lot of small ribs on this one too. But this is, at least to my knowledge, this is the only one known. And we don't think that they actually, I mean, Dave, we don't think that Diamond actually produced this marigold on milk glass stuff in any quantity, right?
Yeah, my feeling is they produced that because I know there's a large footed comport in that. There's a small mayonnaise size comport. There's that handled mug, and now the Bookers have come up with this low bowl in there, and then I've got a flared bowl in that. My feeling is they made a demonstration of that, and since you have a handled mug, there may have been at one time even a pitcher that went with it, but over the time. This is all we've got, in our that collectors have shown up, and
Well, isn't there also a pair of candle holders known?
oh yeah, you're right. A few years ago,
There they are.
yeah, David, you want to unmute yourself and speak with that so that people can see it?
Sure, I was just going to ask, is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now I know where those things got off to.
I just have a single.
Oh, you've got a single. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think there was a pair on eBay many years ago, and so wow.
So there you go.
That's neat. Thanks for sharing. And actually, this is an important thing that I don't think Gary had mentioned, that We've had that question in the past. Did anybody else iridize milk glass other than Imperial? And obviously, the answer is Diamond did.
Did Westmoreland make any?
You know, I think they might have, but it was more contemporary. I don't think it was any of the early glass that they iridized.
We have a coin spot compote that's marigold on milk.
Really? Wow, that would be neat.
If we can go get it and show you a bit later.
So Eunice is off on a quest, huh?
She's going to get it.
Okay.
Dave?
Yes.
I had found a piece a long time ago, never knew what it was. I knew it was Imperial. It's from the 50s, and it's milk glass, as you see, and they iridized it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's another contemporary.
Yeah, so this is it. So they did it, they were doing it again later in the 50s and 60s.
Nice piece. Great. Okay, Gary, for the sake of time, let's finish out Gary's discussion, and then we can spend as much time as we want to talking about glass.
All Imperial jewels will have a ground base. This is because they were stuck up versus being snapped up pieces. Nearly all Imperial jewel shapes will have an iron cross mark. Occasionally, especially on bowls, the cross will appear on the inside of the piece rather than the outside. Most collectors will accept some chips on the base, as this is a natural result of the grinding process. So what is the stuck-up process? Here is a description of the stuck-up process as described by Howard Sufer. When the piece comes out of the mold, it has a flat basal rim with a small ridge. The ridge fits in a groove on an iron punty, a metal rod with a flat iron ring. The iron punty is shown here. The ring is heated and the hot molded piece is stuck to this plate. Now the glass is reheated, doped, and shaped. The punt is struck sharply and the piece breaks off, leaving rough edges. The glass goes to the layer for annealing, and the base is then ground so it will sit level. Here you see Dave Fetty applying the iron punty to a piece of glass. Sometimes Imperial jewels and new art vases are confused, but it is rather easy to tell them apart. New art vases will have a polished pontil and the word new art in block letters on the beveled bottom edge. Measurements, especially base sizes, are very important to differentiate one item from another. Here are 5 8-ruffle items from about 2.5 inches tall to 9.5 inches tall, and with 5 different base diameters. Here are Imperial Jewels vases with similar shapes. Again, dimensions are a help in proper identification. These are some of the more difficult Imperial Jewels items to locate. The scarcest of all would be the number 9 sweet pea vase. The only one that has surfaced is this one in pearl white, located in the Corning Glass Museum. The diameter of the top is about 8 inches. Often items are misidentified as Imperial jewels. Here are some bowls in a very brilliant iridescent bright blue. These bowls have usually been identified as Imperial jewels when they come up for auction. In fact, they are all made from the same molds as Imperial Jewels bowls and all have a ground base, but they should not be classified as Imperial Jewels pieces because they do not have a stretch finish. What was the finish called? In 1925, a catalog titled Supplement to Bargain Book was published. In this catalog, many finishes were described and listed. Among them were 7 bright iridescent colors, 6 satin iridescent colors, and 22 lead luster finish treatments. Among the bright iridescent colors, Purple Glaze was described as a very brilliant blue iridescent effect on dark amethyst glass. The effect is similar to that of the plain blue iridescence on the expensive lead luster glass. And in the same catalog, lead luster finish number 10 was described as dark blue with brilliant blue glaze, inside and outside. Interestingly, Purple Glaze was listed under the bright iridescent colors, which is what collectors today call carnival glass. Here are 3 examples of lead luster in finish number 10 on the left, and the Purple Glaze bowls on the right.
Gary and I wanted to stop it right there to maybe show a couple of examples of this Purple Glaze. And again, remember that Purple Glaze we don't consider to be a stretch glass, but I think it's a pretty collectible glass. It's quite nice. Gary, did you want to show a couple of your pieces?
Yeah. As I said, that when these Purple Glaze pieces come up in auctions, they're almost always identified as Imperial Jewels pieces, which, as I said in the video, they are not, because they're not stretch. I imagine they get called Imperial Jewels because they have a ground base, and maybe the auctioneer recognizes the particular shape as something they've seen in a stretch piece before. Which it doesn't matter to me necessarily, but I have never seen one of these Purple Glaze bowls with an iron cross on it. There was one listed in an auction a number of years ago, and it said it had an iron cross. I didn't win it, so I can't say for sure whether it did or not. But I say it's not important to me because occasionally I find a piece of Imperial Jewels that doesn't have the iron cross either. That doesn't bother me. It just means I'm able to buy it at a cheaper price. But anyway, all the Purple Glaze pieces that I've ever seen are all known Imperial Jewel shapes, and they're basically bowls. There's one piece that both Dave and I have that's Imperial Vase. You call it a tall bowl. I think Dave will show it later. And another interesting thing about it, first I should show here's a piece of the lead luster number 10, which they said it was, remember they said they described a Purple Glaze finish as very similar to the lead luster number 10, which I've got as the large vase, is the lead luster number 10. And here's a candle holder. This is the only known shape of candle holder in lead luster. Now, these lead luster pieces were done in over 20 other different colors or finishes. The number 10 finish is probably one of the easier of the 20, I think it was 22 finishes to find. And originally, when I first saw these bowls, I figured that they may have marketed them together as console sets, which of course they did later with the freehand candlesticks and the stretch Imperial Jewels bowls. One other interesting thing is, and I don't know which is more prominent because I've got 3 of these and I haven't bought any more. I don't know if you can see this. I'm showing a flashlight And some of the Purple Glaze bowls have a definitely dark lavender or purple base glass to it. And other pieces have a royal blue, almost to a cobalt blue base glass. That's all I have. I think Dave has got a piece or two to show.
Yes, I do. And you mentioned one of the Purple jewel shapes. Here's the
Yeah.
flared bowl that's, again, that really shiny. It's got the round bottom, but no mark in it. This one, when I get light through it, is a really dark cobalt blue that has that. But I've got some other pieces. Now, I didn't show you these earlier, Gary, but here is here's the wide panel bowl in
Yes.
purple luster. Okay, so this one is definitely a snapped up piece, but it's got that purple glass, and it is a really dark purple glass. Here is a wide panel bowl, also in the purple glaze. Not a stretch mark in it, but I got it when I saw them. I said, oh man, I really like that, and the price was okay on that. And then here's a low bowl. Now this is an Imperial jewel shape, but if you look at the base of this, it's a snap base. And so again, got the purple glaze, the really shiny, and this is again a dark purple glass. So these things are out there. Unfortunately, as Gary indicated, it's been my experience, either the dealer has no idea what it is, and sometimes you can get a bargain that way, and other times they say, no, it's Imperial jewels, or it's Imperial. I've even had some of them say it's Imperial lead lustre, and they want an outrageous price for it, and I just smile and usually walk away at that time. All right, let's finish out the video.
Something that really grabs my attention, as I imagine it does many of you, are the undocumented or unusual finds. This cream and sugar set has been very popular and obtainable in pearl amethyst and pearl silver, but a mold number has not been known. The set was offered through the years, in some cases with a molded star in the bottom, and in other cases with a ground base, depending upon the decor and finish. All were identified in catalogs with the number 606. A couple pieces have shown up with an opalescent effect. The vase at the top left is a number 2 vase, and the pearl amethyst vase is a number 1 vase. Both measure about 5 inches tall. Then, every so often, you find an undocumented shape that has all the features of an Imperial Jewels piece. Round base, iron cross, and in one of the 7 known Imperial Jewels finishes. These are possibly some of the 23 unknown items not in the catalogs. On the left is a small cuspidor, just 3 3/4 inches round and 2 1/4 inches tall. Top right is a pearl ruby ruffle top vase, likely made from the number 26 cylinder vase mold, about 7 inches tall. The plates are 6 3/8 round, and I have found them in pearl white, pearl amethyst, and pearl green. In the center is a fairly large vase from the same mold as some of the other cataloged items, and has only been found in Orange Onyx, and surprisingly is one of the most common items found in Orange Onyx. Over 5 inches tall and 6 inches round. The cuspidor shaped piece in Orange Onyx shown top middle, is a similar undocumented shape that has recently sold in a Tom Burns auction. If you look closely at the interior of the piece, you will see optic ribs formed by a plunger. 7 of the cataloged items were also formed with a plunger. This cuspidor stands about 3.5 inches tall. Here are 2 vases that only got 2 of the features I look for. Both have ground bases and are marked with the Iron Cross, but neither vase got a stretch iridescence. The smoke on milk glass piece is actually the number 10 Imperial Jewel shape, but the dark purple vase is an unknown shape. Both stand a bit over 5 inches. A spectacular item is this number 10 Pearl Ruby vase with the cut ovals. Most believe the cutting was done by Imperial. This cutting has been seen on many items from the earlier years, but never executed to this extent. It really must be seen to be fully appreciated, a truly outstanding piece of glass. A few years ago, this vase was voted one of the 16 rarest pieces of stretch by a panel of knowledgeable collectors and members of the Stretch Glass Society. It was reported in a 1917 issue of a trade journal that paperweights with art finish iridescence and advertising were received in the Chicago showroom. I would not consider this paperweight as part of the Imperial Jewels collection, but it was made in the same era in some of the Imperial Jewels finishes. For years, collectors have cherished this paperweight, sometimes called a pin tray or an ashtray, but always found in the pearl amethyst finish. Then, about 3 years ago, this piece in pearl green was posted on Facebook, but ID'd there as marigold. The first one to surface in any color other than pearl amethyst. It is in my collection now. The entire story is too long to tell here. When you see me next, ask, and I will be happy to give you all the details. Hope you enjoyed this presentation. There will be a live question and answer session immediately following. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gary. That was excellent. Give us some more things to talk about here at the end of that. So do you have that ashtray or that pin tray or the paperweight somewhere? Yes.
Marigold. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pearl amethyst one, but I didn't know if Gary had the one with the pearl green on it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you faded out there for just a second.
Yeah. Well, I missed the comment then.
You happen to have that paperweight with you?
Oh yeah. I do. It's the paperweight.
Yeah, I've never seen one in that color. That's just absolutely.
Yeah, make a long story short, I contacted the person that they were listing it on Imperial site on Facebook. It was a show and tell day, and it was the only piece. It was a candlewick collector, the only piece of iridized glass he owned. I ended up contacting him. Was going to be in the Reading, Pennsylvania area. I said, I just want to see it because I really wanted to determine whether it was pearl ruby or pearl green. It looked like pearl green to me on Facebook, and it was pearl green. He made me an offer I couldn't refuse in reverse, and I own it.
Neat.
But before, I've got a few other pieces that I certainly want to show you that were pictured there, undocumented items, unusual pieces. But I want I think Jim Steinbeck is standing by. If he's available, I'd like to let him show that his piece now. I don't want him to get tired of waiting.
Ah.
Are you there, Jim?
Jim, can you talk so that everybody can see it?
Sure, I can try to talk a little bit here.
There.
Yeah, the more you talk, the more people can see it.
They can find you.
Okay, all right. I'll try to
Play
keep
the
talking
drums
here.
or something?
Yeah, exactly. Now, and the sad part of this is we have no recollection of where we bought this, how much we paid for it. We just don't have any recollections. But
To me, it's just amazing how you see the optics of that. It looks like as an entomologist, it looks like a bug's eyeball to me.
but the optics are it's crazy.
Yeah, it's the only piece of Imperial Jewels I've ever seen with cuttings on it. And then they went to that extent. It's just amazing to me.
No, we're pretty pleased to have it.
No.
So anyhow, that's our piece.
I'm just pleased someone's got it that'll take care of it.
That's
Beautiful
not going
piece.
anywhere.
Beautiful, beautiful piece, Jim.
All right.
Now, I know we've got a lot of other people that want to show some, but Gary, did you have any more pieces that you
Yeah,
want?
let me just quickly show a few of the pieces, the undocumented ones. This was in the video. This is a little pearl amethyst. I'd call it a spittoon shape, I guess. A lot of people look at it and say, do you think there's a lid? I don't know, of course, but I don't think so. So that's a nifty little item I picked up in an online auction many, many years ago. And then one that I find one of the most interesting is this. This is a number 2 vase again, standard number, but with a very funky looking finish. It looks to me like they may have applied too much heat. I don't know what else would have done this, unless they're experimenting with new chemicals, new salts, but it's got an awful lot of opalescence to it. And even in the base, and yes, it is cracked, and that's the way I bought it, and I knew it was cracked, but you know, very unusual. So I wanted it anyway. I don't take this to shows because it's actually cracked up the side too, so I don't transport it anywhere. I want it to stay intact if I can. And here's the only other Imperial Jewels piece I've seen with any opalescence. Definitely an opalescent base, and then the top ring. And this piece here, I would have to believe it's got a ground base. It's the amethyst base glass color. It's got an iron cross on it, but it's got no stretch effect. It could have been started out as one of the known shapes and just got done, completed like this. Don't know what the idea was, but I've never seen another one with this squatty neck on it like that. And then this plate, as I mentioned, a little 6 and this isn't as exciting. It's a little 6 3/8, I guess it is, plate. I thought maybe it was an underplate for some of the other pieces, but I don't have anything that fits it properly. So I'm not sure what the idea was, other than maybe just a little luncheon plate.
Now that one looks pearl green. Is that your thing?
Yeah, this is pearl green. This is the last one I found. I first found a couple of them in pearl white, and I have a pearl amethyst also.
Okay.
This one's definitely pearl green. That's it. you know, please, anybody else would, have questions or,
I
as
noticed
I-
Lance had unmuted himself. Lance, did you have
Yeah,
a piece you
I
wanted to
have
share?
I bought this in, from the Reading area also. One of the things that I'd like to show about it is because it's the common one, it's the purple, they call it a coin tray. But if I put the light on it, you can actually see swirls in the glass.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're right.
Huh? Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, for years in the carnival circles, people called them pin trays and coin trays and everything else. But and then there was this article found in the trade journal where they were reporting on them coming to being in the showroom, that they were brought there, and they were definitely referred to as a paperweight in that article. So I have to be calling it a paperweight now, I guess.
So that's okay, but I also understand there was a story going around that they were given away at a board meeting to each board member at one time.
Yeah, there's as many stories as there are paperweights. Yeah, I've heard a lot of them. The one that I find the most intriguing was a lot of them have some chips on them and bruises.
Mhm.
And the first time I saw one for sale, it was at a carnival convention. The seller, who I don't know who it was, said, well, the story is that this was sitting on the president's desk, and one day he was trying to mount a picture on the wall, and he picked up the paperweight or the piece of glass, and he was pounding the nail in the wall to mount the picture, and that's why, and this is the very one, he said, that's why he bruised. So it was about a month later, I was at another carnival convention, and someone was selling a purple paperweight in the room, and he had exactly the same story about his paperweight, and it was a different one. So anyway, there are a lot of intriguing stories about where they came from.
That would explain the damages.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
president obviously hung a bunch of pictures in that room.
And he didn't like glass.
Now, also, I know that this isn't stretch glass, but Westmoreland did make marigold on milk.
Okay. Ah, yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
I also have a peach opal, but it's definitely milk glass.
Definitely, yeah.
And that's an old Westmoreland piece. It's not a new
Okay.
one.
Dave,
Okay.
Dave, I got my piece now.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, I'm showing it.
This is the,
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's the, yeah.
And then the
Hey,
bottom
Paul,
has
can you
stars,
say something?
stars
Can
in
you
it.
see it?
oh,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yes.
And what pattern did you say that was?
Pearly dots.
Pearly dot. Oh, okay, there you go.
And strangely enough, we bought this in
Juno.
Fairbanks, Alaska.
Jeez.
Neat.
I carried it home in my carry-on luggage for 17 days. But it was worth
Did you
it.
walk?
Carried it on the whole Alaska trip for 17 days.
Wow.
Cool. Okay, Bob, I see you holding up a piece. You want to unmute yourself? Supposedly, I'm supposed to be able to unmute you, but I don't seem to have that control over here.
Well, you can certainly mute me. You can't unmute me, but you mute me.
It's hard to mute you, Bob.
That's it. But it's successful on computer. I have a question. I bought this. It is marked Imperial with a cross. I'm sure it's an Imperial jewel. I bought it at the last auction that we had in Marietta. And when I brought it home and looking at the book, it doesn't have any of the measurements of the ones that are in the book. It doesn't have, it doesn't conform. Like you picked up one a while back and said, this is a number 2 and so forth. And these things can vary.
Oh, yeah. Well, certainly, because two things. One, for measurements, I'll give Dave another plug here. What you want to do is go on his website, and under the Imperial section, he has line drawings that he did many years ago of all the Imperial jewel shapes. And there's a lot of dimensions in there, as well as including all the base dimensions, which are the most important, probably. A very, very big help. But in a lot of cases, he gives the height and or the diameter of the piece. I don't mean to be critical, Dave, but I mean, as perfect as you are, and I mean that sincerely. It's about 98% correct. I found a few mistakes, and I think Dave would probably say he's found a few mistakes since he originally did it, but it's pretty damn accurate. So that's one thing you want to do to help identify. And then your question about, did they vary? Well, they certainly did. It was just like making any piece of handmade glass. Once it came out of the mold, they would shape the flare of the top, or they would put the crimps in it, and they're going to vary a little bit. But if you combine the overall dimensions and measure the bases, you can pretty well get it down to a certain style number in just about all the cases if you combine those things and check them all.
Well, everything ends in 3/4. It's 4 3/4 wide. It's 5 3/4 tall, and the base is 2 3/4. So
it's probably a number 4. And I had to look and check his diagrams because I can't remember all the dimensions, but I would say it's a number 4.
Yeah, I would too. And my feeling is, even though I put those illustrations and those dimensions in there, remember that when they're finishing this and grinding that bottom, sometimes I think the grinder got lazy and ground it down a little bit more. So it may actually be plus or minus 1/8 inch from the dimension that I give.
Definitely so.
Yeah.
Definitely so. The base dimensions you have to be a little bit wary of because, like you said, they were ground, and they were ground to sit level, not to attain any kind of certain dimension. And I'll even go further. I've found pieces that I would have to suspect were as much as near 1/4 of an inch off. I mean, that would be rare to be that far off, but even that far. Now, to give you an idea, here's a piece which I think actually is another unidentified, but I'm not positive yet. But let's see, I gotta pin myself again here. If you look at the base, look at how much that base was ground.
Oh my.
That's only about a 2-inch high bowl, and that base was ground considerably. I'll just, excuse me 1 minute, 1 second. Here's another vase with a very heavily ground base to it. I bought this 2 years ago at the Stretch Convention, and I bought it just for that reason. I hadn't seen one ground that much. I suppose you could guess or speculate that it may have been aftermarket, but I think just as well it was done at the factory that way. Because again, all they were trying to do, as far as I would know, is make it sit level so they could sell it.
And when it comes to the top treatments in there, sometimes if you've got pieces like this where they flared this out quite a bit, I've seen these with about half the flare, and some of them really widely flared like this, but they would all be the same number. Now this one is obviously a pearl ruby one, and the dope fairy on this one went to town on it and almost made this a brown in the middle of that one. Okay, oh, I see Mary, Mary Elda. You'll need to talk so that people can see you.
Oh, okay. This is Mary Elda, and as far as I know from the description, this is pearl amethyst.
Uh-huh.
Sure looks like it.
Yep.
Our prize piece.
Pretty piece. Is that all you wanted to show? Okay. Anybody else?
Cal Hackerman.
Okay, Cal.
He's asleep.
Well,
Can you hear me?
Your audio is not showing. Your video, I'm sorry, isn't showing. There
How
you
about now?
are.
Yeah. So, Gary, I just wanted to show you this piece. I have to give credit where credit's due. I wouldn't have this if Dave hadn't answered his phone one day. I was in an antique shop and they had this vase, and they had a fairly substantial price on it. I knew it was Imperial Jewels because it has the mark on the bottom of it. I don't know if you can actually see the mark, but there it is. And so I knew that, but I had some trepidation about how much they wanted for it. And I called Dave and described it to him, and he said, yeah, I think you probably should go for it. And so I did. It has beautiful stretch effect. You can see it there around the top. It's fabulous stretch effect.
Yeah,
all over the
very
place.
nice.
But I don't know what number is that? Do you know offhand?
Oh, well,
We would need to know the base size of that because I believe there are 3 different sizes of that particular shape.
Okay, well, we won't take everybody's time up. I don't have a measure right here, but we'll get it identified at some point. And Gary, I just sent you a message in chat just to ask you, is there some place where the rest of us would be able to get some reference material like those slides that you were showing that has the shape and the item number?
we had the item numbers. Yeah, well, 2 things. One, I'd imagine the video may end up on the website.
Right.
Number 1, so it will be there. If anybody would like a copy of them, I'd be happy to email them those particular slides. That's another one, but also
There's that clam broth piece, isn't it, in the living room with the 2
an
sides?
excellent place is if you get the Imperial Encyclopedia. They show in there the 5. I think it's 5 pages. Maybe it's 6. I think it's 6. 6 pages. From the original catalog, the catalog 103G. I had only 2 pages shown in the video, but they show all 6 there, and they show all of the first 68 items with the numbers.
Okay, great.
Yeah, in that. Some of them are hard. You got to look at them close because the reproduction of the photograph isn't really great, but it will help you identify the shapes.
Thank you.
And then Dave's line drawings too.
Yeah, Cal, I would mention that I believe 3 or 4 years ago, when Gary gave his first talk to the Stretch Glass Society on the Imperial Jewels, I did produce, I think it was 2 articles, 2 technical articles for the Stretch Glass newsletter that covered the entire line, all the shapes and sizes and so forth. So those are in our archives. Maybe we can pull that out someplace and could even post it on the Stretch Glass website.
Okay. Gary,
Yes.
I have another piece of pearl green, and I showed you the tray. So I'm going to show you the little vase that I have.
Uh-huh.
Okay, can you see it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a real cutie.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Um,
How tall is that? It looks rather short.
it's, I can't measure it. It's
You
4
think
inches.
it's shorter
4
than 5?
Huh?
Is it shorter than 5 inches?
I think it's shorter than 5 inches. I don't have a ruler with me.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty unusual. Most of them are at least 5 inches. That's
Yeah. And it's got the Imperial
spotty
mark
one,
in it. It's got the ginger ale color base glass,
right.
and it fits very nicely on the tray, and it goes very nicely on the tray. Okay.
Yeah.
It goes even nicer and fits perfectly in the base.
That's why they ground them. Now we know.
So we could put the.
Yeah.
I can't put it down, unfortunately. I have to.
Yeah.
Hold it up, but it doesn't. It fits perfectly in the base on this tray.
Lance, I think you've got too much time there. You're spending too much time on your glass.
Yeah, I told Wally I was going to heckle you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did a good job.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciated your talk. It was very, very informative.
Well, thank you very much. My pleasure.
Yeah, it's. I think it's exciting learning about the Orange Onyx and the Purple Glaze and a couple of those numbers. Actually, I'll have to go back and revise my sheets to add those 2 extra numbers in there that we now know what those items are. I guess I'll do one last one myself here. Gary indicated that there's some unnumbered, unknown, unique kind of items, and actually in a recent auction, this bowl showed up. It is a pearl white bowl, and it's when I showed Gary this, he said, "Well, that's not a shape that anybody knows," but it has the iron cross. In this case, on the inside, it is double doped, but it looks like it may actually be a wide flared bowl made out of the same mold. They have pretty much the same base diameter.
Maybe it is. Because it's not ground. Well.
Okay, I think in the sake of time, thanks, Gary. Really appreciate it. We've spent a little over an hour and a half here taking a look at glass, and let's give Gary a virtual applaud for that presentation. Now, remember, tomorrow, whoops, Cal's
I think
disappeared.
Gary Lickford's got something he wants to show.
Oh, Gary? Yeah.
Gary wants to show something.
Hey, he's smiling again. What do you got? Oh, smoke. Oh, that's smooth panels. No, 690. Yeah.
Yeah, Gary, can you talk while you're doing that?
I think you're muted, Gary.
Yeah, we don't
You're
even
muted.
see Gary's picture.
You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay, it's a little 4.5 inch tall vase with a 2.5 inch across bottom.
Yeah. Now that's not a piece of Imperial jewels.
Not Imperial. Okay.
Only because I'm a big stickler about that. I mean, there was a time, and still some people call any piece of stretch glass Imperial jewels, even if it was made by Fenton or Northwood, and the term gets used a lot. But when they brought out the catalog, everything they showed was made with a certain technique. Now, it doesn't say that anywhere in the catalog, but everything that was there called Imperial Jewels was made with the ground base. So that is from well, I don't know. They could have made that anywhere from I suppose 1916 on, but I would think more likely it was made in the 20s sometime when some of the other stretches made. But that's just pure speculation.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But it's a gorgeous piece. I mean, you know, there was one smoke on milk glass went in one of the Wallens auctions, a nice big tall one. It went quite a nice price, as I recall.
Yeah.
Gary, can you hold yours up again closer to your face? Gary,
Someone wants you to hold that up closer to your face.
And
Hold it
talk.
up again.
And talk.
Okay. Yeah, here it is.
Closer
It's
to
got,
your
again, it's 4.5 inches tall and a 2.5 inch bottom.
Harold, I see you're holding up one.
Yeah, this one's 8-inch.
That's got great color.
Harold, talk again while you're holding that up.
This one's 8-inch. And then I have it marigold and milk glass right here with a 5-inch opening.
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice.
I'd like to share something
Cal,
about.
do you want to
Got a lot of drill holes up there to
let
show.
us know what's going to happen tomorrow?
Oh, somebody else wanted to show something.
We need to wrap up here. I want Cal to tell us what's happening tomorrow, and then I'll stop the recording. But we can, those of us that want to stay online and share glass, we can do that.
Never mind, it's not important.
Come on, Kathy.
Okay, well, so we're working our way through an exciting week here. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, those of you who are members of the Stretch Glass Society, you will get an extra link tomorrow that will invite you to our annual business meeting. Please sign on so that we have a quorum. We do have elections to conduct and a couple of other minor pieces of business. We have a bylaw amendment we need to approve, hopefully, and not much else. It'll be a relatively short meeting. We'll start at 7. We should be done well in advance of the start of Zach's presentation on taller dolphins, which will start at 8 o'clock. And I'll just put a plug in for Zach's presentation. He put a little plug in last night. This is not a presentation about stretch glass. Zach was originally signed up to be our banquet speaker. And as many of you know who've been to conventions, we don't always talk about stretch glass at the banquet. Sometimes we learn about other types of glass. Sometimes we learn about other types of things. And so Zach volunteered to be the banquet speaker. And he's going to be talking about dolphin candlesticks that were made starting in the 1800s all the way up to some reasonably recent production pieces. And Zach is a great collector of dolphin candlesticks. He's a very serious collector. He's got a fabulous collection. If any of you had the pleasure going to his home to see it, and he's going to be sharing a lot of that with us tomorrow night. So I encourage you to come back at 8 o'clock. I'll also mention just briefly the rest of the week. Friday night, Tom and Deborah Burns will do the preview of the Burns auction that will take place on Saturday. And this auction has got several collections in it that Tom and Deborah are selling. There are some more pieces from the Wallen glass, but also the collections of Sharon Mizell are there, and at least one or two other collectors. So I think it'll be a very exciting auction. If you haven't signed up yet, please go and sign up so that we have a good showing of folks who are signed up for the auction. I was talking with Deborah today, And it seems like a lot of the stretch glass collectors are kind of hanging back and not signing up for the auction. And you've got Deborah a little bit worried. So if you're going to be bidding on Saturday,
Hear that?
go ahead and sign up and get yourself registered online. It is an only online auction. And so you do have to be registered on high bid if you are going to be bidding on anything. That's it. Thank you all. Thank you, Gary, for a fabulous presentation. Thank you, Dave, once again for thank you, Dave, once again for moderating for us. And I appreciate all your effort to continue to keep people muted so that they are not interrupting the presentation. I think we were more successful at that tonight, and we will continue to work on that. So thanks, everybody. Have a great evening. And as Dave said, he's going to stick around if you want to talk some more, show some more Imperial jewels.
Yeah. Actually, I'll stay around if anybody wants to show any stretch glass or even other glass that they'd like us to take a look at and see if we can help out. That'll be fine. But I do appreciate all of you either self-muting you or staying on mute. It really made things move much more rapidly tonight. I know Kathy has her hand up. I don't know if she's still there or wants to show anything now or not. We'll stay on. I'm going to stop the recording right now. We'll